Hey guys, I'm Randy.
And I'm Daniel.
We're two lifelong friends and musicians, but when we're not playing gigs, we like to talk games.
And today on the Gaming Gig Podcast, we're talking about mass layoffs in the gaming industry and what it means for gaming as a whole.
Well, Daniel, have you had a good weekend?
Randy, I've had the best weekend. Friday night we had off. We didn't have to play any gigs. Not that I don't love playing gigs, but we had the night off. So I played some video games. And then yesterday we played a gig. It was fun. The weather was nice and the people were kind and the money was flowing. And then I played some more video games. And then I woke up today and the only thing that's happened to me so far that wasn't just exceptional this weekend is when you came over.
Well, I was about to say, because I'm glad you've had a good weekend, because today's conversation is not going to be the most like rainbows and unicorns and, happy stuff.
Mm-hmm. No glitter coming out of these butts.
The truth is we're going to be talking about what's been going on in the gaming industry. And there have been layoffs. It seems like every day we hear about, Daniel's trying to make things light. But no, every day it really does seem like we hear about another company laying off hundreds, if not thousands of employees in the gaming industry. And it's definitely concerning to me. Mm-hmm. And so it's been happening even with big companies.
Oh, yeah. All the way to the biggest.
Yeah. Sony, Microsoft, EA, those are some of the biggest companies in gaming. They've all seen layoffs, even like from development studios that are successful. Like Insomniac just had a huge game with Spider-Man 2. They've just had people do layoffs.
Right.
Naughty Dog saw layoffs.
They've made a game or two.
Yeah, and they've been fairly successful.
Fairly.
Respawn just got a Star Wars game canceled. They were going to be doing a Mandalorian game, and now that's been canceled. Mm-hmm. It seems super, super weird.
It is weird because it seems like we just came off, one of, if not the best years in gaming ever. It's not like people didn't buy those games. Mm-hmm. Seemingly, you would think the money would be flowing. Mm-hmm. So why are we losing all these people?
Right. And there are a lot of reasons that people have speculated as to why all these layoffs are happening. Companies are giving answers. They're giving reasons, but are those reasons the real reasons?
Right.
Potentially.
Maybe.
Maybe, or they may be half-truths. So today on the podcast, we're going to be going through each of what I have perceived as being the reasons for these layoffs.
Right. And I do want to preface this by saying we ain't no economists.
No.
We're just two rednecks in the woods.
Yeah, we just love video games and we love talking about this kind of stuff. Before we get into the main conversation, I do want to tell you guys about our Discord server.
Tell 'em.
We have a small but very cool and active and very welcoming Discord server, and there's an invite link wherever you get this podcast. We'd love to have you be a part of our Discord server as well.
Absolutely. Join up. We'll wave at you.
All right. So guys, if you're new to the podcast, the way this works is because we're just two rednecks who like gaming, we rely on you a lot. So what we do is we post polls to the main Gaming Gig channel, not the podcast channel. Mm-hmm. And then we take the comments and we talk about the polls and we read and react to those comments here on the podcast. So
that's right. So all the opinions reflected in this podcast are really your own.
I wouldn't go that far. But we do rely on you guys a lot because it is interesting to see what you guys think.
Facts.
All right.
All right.
Hit us with this first one.
Oh, man. George Zimmerman, my man, said, I'm hoping to get another video game crash like the 80s. We really need it bad. The industry is a mess, and gaming has been a joke for a solid 10 years now. Time for a major reset.
I've heard a lot of people call for and think that we are going to have another crash like we had back in, was it 83? Sometime in the mid-80s.
Mm-hmm. The Blizzard of 83, they called it.
Yeah. When, we had a bunch of games come to market. We had a bunch of systems. You had like your ColecoVisions and televisions, like all that stuff were out. Too many consoles, too many games, and they were of low quality.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Basically. And, we had the crash. And then it was Nintendo that came around and saved it with the NES. Kind of brought gaming back. I don't know that we're due for a crash. Would it surprise me if there was a gaming crash? Honestly, yeah, it really would surprise me.
Yeah, it would surprise me too, because it doesn't seem like that problem you just illustrated with the too many systems and too many games and all that. Mm-hmm. I don't think we're there right now.
No.
I don't think we have too many systems, but I will say that if something did crash, we are poised to repeat history when Nintendo drops the Switch 2 in 2025 and saves the world again. But I don't see us having that same sort of oversaturation problem.
No,
we have the PlayStation, we have the Xbox that occasionally puts games, and then we have Nintendo and PC. So, I mean...
Yeah, there's not really that much choice. There's kind of like almost an illusion of choice right now.
Yeah.
Where it seems like, you kind of have PC, and then you have console in terms of PlayStation and Xbox, and those are really mostly the same. I mean, like, well, I know we've debated and talked about the similarities and differences between those two consoles many times here on the podcast.
Yep.
But I think time and time again, we come down to really just comes down to which, like, exclusives do you want to play? Otherwise, there's not a whole lot of choice there. And then there's the Switch, which is kind of on its own, but again, it competes in the same market. So there's not that much choice.
No, there's really not. And I don't see that being an issue.
Now, there are a lot of games being put out right now.
There are. I can log into any of those systems and have, paralysis by, or decision paralysis or whatever instantly. So I get that. I do get that.
So what is the reason for all these layoffs? Well, the main one that I keep hearing, let me adjust my mic here.
Fix that mic stand, Cody. Crank that thing.
Crank it. This thing wants to fall constantly. This mic stand is giving issues.
You need a counterweight.
I might need a counterweight. That might be it. So the main reason that I've seen many companies give is that there was overhiring during the pandemic. Because in the pandemic, gaming really saw a big boom, and there were tons of people, coming to gaming and playing games, getting into gaming. And so it saw this huge, uptick in popularity. So they hired, and then now that things have kind of leveled back off, they're kind of like correcting for the overhiring that was during the pandemic.
Well, that's a sad reality. You hire some people, and I mean, it's not like these companies don't have, people whose job it is to look into the future and see the trajectory that they are on. I have a feeling that this didn't just come up last week.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of makes me sad that maybe these companies didn't have a little more foresight.
Yeah.
That's the reason.
Yeah. And you can't exactly look at the pandemic and say like, oh yeah, this is probably just the way it's going to be from now on. I mean, that was,
No.
Obviously.
Nobody wanted that to be the case. So I think everybody was working to make that not the case.
Right. Everyone was at home playing video games. So of course,
#Animal Crossing.
More people played video games, right? Interesting. We got a comment here from Jacob Martin and then, Contreras. I don't know how to pronounce that last name. Sorry about that, Jacob.
Jacob Martin Contreras.
Contreras. Oh, that's it. I missed that R in there. Okay. I'm concerned about the workers. It's time for AA studios to take over. Now, we've just seen, Helldivers 2, which, is coming from a not as big of a development studio. Obviously, it's published by Sony, but that has really taken over.
Right.
We just saw Pal World come out from almost you could call them indie studio, small team.
Yeah.
Game be huge. We have Pacific Drive just came out, and people are loving that game, and that's kind of a AA sort of deal.
What exactly is AA?
That's a good question.
Do we need a rubric?
That's a good question. I mean, I think obviously, it's not AAA, but
it's not indie.
It's not indie. Now, we've made an entire rubric. Daniel slaved over this rubric so that we could know what was an indie game and what wasn't an indie game.
And it is ironclad, bulletproof, baby.
But what the rubric doesn't tell us is if a game is a AA or a AAA game after that.
We could add that to the rubric. We could say if it disqualifies itself from indie but has this score, it is AA.
Is an indie a single A or is indie below single A? What is single A?
I don't know.
We know Skull and Bones is quadruple A. That's the only game to have ever been.
Yeah.
It's the only one. I don't know. But I'm also concerned about the workers, but at the same time, I'm assuming that if people do get laid off, hopefully there are going to be some AA studios pop up to kind of fill the void of maybe where some AAA studios are making some missteps.
Yes, that would be nice. And I've heard, I heard somebody take that argument with the Microsoft layoffs, saying like, they acquired all these companies, in this big, you might have heard about this Microsoft buyout that happened, and they already have people that were doing these jobs. So now there's some redundancy there. So of course there's going to be some layoffs. That's kind of what I heard people say. And then I heard them say, well, maybe those people will go out, make their own studios, and we'll have an indie boom. And maybe we will, but I don't necessarily think that's as likely as they just go out and try to find work elsewhere.
Yep.
And I really would like to say that I wish Microsoft had just put those people to work for some new IPs or revived some old IPs or something like that to give us some, some more Xbox games.
Yeah. Well,
I feel like that was a mishandling of some new assets.
Yeah. And we've already seen that kind of be an interesting thing that just happened. Toys for Bob, which was a development studio under Activision, which just got bought by Microsoft. So they instantly became a Microsoft studio. They just announced that they are leaving and they're becoming independent. They're just completely branching off. They basically kind of bought themselves out from Microsoft. Toys for Bob, who just came out with, Crash Team Rumble was their most recent game, which did not perform well. It was a live service game.
But it was fun.
It was fun, but it was a live service game. And, they did the Crash Insane trilogy, I think. Or did they do Crash 4? One of the two. I can't remember. But, or maybe they did both. I don't know. But Toys for Bob is they're going out doing their own thing now. And they're not alone. I think there's another studio that has done this. I don't know if it was with Microsoft. I'm trying to think who it was. I can't remember. But we've seen that now where some of these companies are basically buying themselves out and going independent because they don't want to be tied to these, big mega, publication companies basically.
Right. And you know why else they did it? Because they heard about the G&G rubric and they wanted to be qualified.
I still don't think Toys for Bob is going to be, available to be indie, but
they'll be closer.
They'll be closer. They'll be closer.
Maybe they'll
get more points.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think that would be something that a studio, if it's something they were interested in doing and they just went through a big buyout, I can see why that would be tempting to them to try to buy themselves out and go indie.
Well, the rumors was that Toys for Bob was going to be shut down. That they were going to be
So they avoided death.
Basically.
Good for you, Bob.
That was going to be part of these layoffs, was that Toys for Bob, which just had a game that didn't do well, that they were going to be shut down, which is crazy because you imagine if you're now a studio and you work for this huge company and you have a game that flops, that for a lot of people is the end. We saw that with the people who just came out with the new Saints Row game. That game flopped. They're cut. They're done.
Yeah.
Now, Toys for Bob, they were going to suffer that same fate. At least now they can try to do something on their own.
One strike and you're out, huh?
It feels that way.
I wish some...
Which in the current market is crazy because, there are a lot more strikes than there are people knocking out of the park.
Yeah. And if you don't give anybody a chance to learn from a strike, how are they ever going to hit a home run?
Well, and what makes it worse is that odds are they were probably pressured into making that live service game that failed in the first place from the people who decide their fate, which is even worse. Like we told you to make a live service game that you could infinitely monetize. Oh, it didn't do well. You're done.
Right. Yeah, that's no good.
It's crazy.
Coach tells you to take the pitch. Pitch comes straight down the middle. You don't swing.
Or no, you swing and miss.
No, you don't swing.
Oh, you swing.
Oh, well.
You swing and miss. Yeah.
I guess, I think he told you to take the pitch.
Oh, he told you to take
because
the pitch.
He told you to make a live service game, so he told you to take the pitch.
Oh, okay.
Turns out it was a pitch you could have deposited into the left field seats.
Right.
You took the pitch, benched.
Yep.
Cut. Back to working at the 7-Eleven.
That's the way it feels.
That's not cool. All right.
So another thing that we can talk about is that games are costing, more and more to create. Budgets are ballooning. We had a report that Spider-Man 2 from Insomniac cost $300 million to make. What?
Heck yeah, Spider-Man.
Now, apparently,
what a banger too.
Apparently, they've already made their, it's already been profitable. They've made money off of it. They had to sell a bunch of copies to do that. But the fact that they put so much money into a game that, I'm not saying Spider-Man 2 is destined to flop because it probably wasn't. Yeah. But there was potential. Who knows, potential. Right? There's always potential.
Yeah, that's a crazy amount of money to put into something that is a risk, even if it was such a minimal risk, because everybody in the world was excited about that game.
Right. And it doesn't matter how well the games do to a degree, because the more that the cost to make a game balloons, the slimmer your profit margins are. So that's another reason is profit margins are down by half, according to Sony, I think it was. I could be, don't quote me on that, but it was something like that. Their profit margins are down by 50%. And so that's making a reason that they need layoffs, because they kind of got to be hey, we can't afford to have all these people anymore because it just costs so much more and we can't afford to pay everybody, probably honestly pay the CEOs what they want to be paid if they're going to pay everyone else.
Right. Well, thank God they're charging $70 a game then. /S. The whole world's mad about them charging $70 for games, but now they're saying profits are down, and it's I I don't know what to believe.
I kind of feel like the $70 price point has seen some major pushback.
It has.
From everyone. I know for me it has. I try not to buy games for $70, and not even that I can't afford it. It's just like, ugh, I just don't like to. It's just weird.
Well, it's been 60 for so long.
Yeah.
And it's hard to change.
I definitely had an easier time swallowing the $60 pill than the $70 pill.
Oh, yeah. After tax, you're paying over $70. That's a lot. It's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. But we got a comment here from Mr. Plee Boss, Mr. PLIE Boss. Anyway, Boss said they went to a point that business is not growing enough for what investors are expecting. They will size down, restructure, think about a new plan, and try again. They finally see some people giving up on a half-baked product industry on their review.
Revenue.
Yeah. My bad. I was hung up on the "and."
Yeah, there was supposed to be an A.
I'm not really sure about that, actually. I've seen the "a" and thing before words that start with H.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. I always think it's A, though.
A half.
It definitely feels better to say a half-baked than and half-baked.
I think it may depend on where in the world and what accent you have.
I think it might.
Because it's all about how you pronounce that H. Mm-hmm. Okay, so anyways, back to this comment here saying one, the investors aren't happy with now that the profit margins are slimmer, which is probably definitely true. Mm-hmm. Not even probably, definitely. But also that they're seeing that people are kind of not enjoying this half-baked products that we've been getting.
Imagine that. I know I don't like it. I don't like it when Nintendo ships a game that they promise, DLC for down the road, like a Mario Tennis or Mario Strikers. And and I love Nintendo. So I don't like it when anybody does it.
No, but it seems like we were getting that a lot more recently from everybody. Yes. I think definitely Nintendo is guilty of it. They haven't seen as much kind of pushback on it, I think.
On their sports games, people were pretty vocal.
Right, true.
But I don't think we should ever be asked to buy a product under the pretense of the promise of future updates. That's bullcrap.
Mm-hmm. I think we've seen that recently with a couple games, for sure. Well, it seems to be a growing trend just in general, these kind of half-baked games. They come out and it's like, especially when they're leaning on it being a live service game, it almost feels like it's an excuse for it to be half-baked at launch.
100%. Because we expect those constant updates and they're like, oh, well, you're going to get those. Don't worry. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Enjoy the game for a month.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way for sure. And we're seeing that games are kind of going this model and they're pumping tons of money in it with the expectation that potentially if the game hits and becomes a huge success, it has the potential to bring in tons and tons of money. The problem is that maybe 1 out of every 10 games does become a big hit and be profitable, but the gamers are having to play through all 10 of those games. They're not only playing the one game that is, the great one. They're having to try these other crappy games. Mm-hmm. They're having to play 9 of them that just suck. And it's it makes you feel very jaded. It makes you not want to spend money in those markets.
I definitely feel that. 100% I feel that. That's why I get so excited when I hear about a new indie game coming out, because I always expect it to not be that way. I don't know that I always expect it to be amazing. Mm-hmm. It just depends. But I don't expect it to be half-baked with the promise of future updates. That's one of the big reasons I got so pumped about Sea of Stars, is because I really had a feeling that they were going to ship a complete game.
And it wasn't $70.
And it wasn't $70.
We just... Helldivers just came out. Not a full price game.
Not a full price game.
And it,
it was a little broke. But it wasn't broken from a content perspective. It was broken. Problems. They were like a victim of their own success. They weren't expecting such a boom. The servers couldn't handle it. But it seems like it's leveled out. And I knew it would. It was just a matter of time, and it was a little bit of a rough launch. But the content, everybody knew was there. Mm-hmm. The gameplay was there. I mean, that's a great thing.
So something that has been on my mind a lot lately, in terms of all these layoffs, and just thinking about the state of the gaming industry, is that, we tend to remember all these great games that we got last year. We've even gotten some great games now. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth just comes out, and according to what everyone's saying about it, that game is excellent. Mm-hmm. And obviously that is a big budget game that had tons and tons of money put into it.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But then right beside it, just a week or two ago, we had 2 games come out pretty much next to each other, both huge big budget games that have both been like, they're DOA. They're done. People are still playing them a little bit, but mostly those games are already been written off largely by the gaming community, and that is games like Skull and Bones and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
So we asked the Gaming Gig Faithful which game was more disappointing, and at 58% people said Skull and Bones, and at 42% people said Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I wasn't sure which way this one was going to go, because it seems like I honestly kind of thought it would go the other way, but not by much.
No.
Because I know some people that do enjoy Skull and Bones, and I don't know anybody who enjoyed Suicide Squad.
No.
Or even played it.
Suicide Squad's numbers, like of people playing, have dropped down to like almost nothing. It's doing worse than Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones has more players, but still, I was surprised to see that Skull and Bones won this poll in terms of being more disappointing. Maybe it's just because they were saying it was a quadruple-A game.
Right. It had been in development for a hot minute. Based on Black Flag, everybody loved Black Flag. There were some things that they were definitely attempting to build some hype,
right?
That they might have been destined to not live up to.
Like, we have a comment here from Njord, who said, Skull and Bones, in my opinion. They made a game based off the pirating stuff in Black Flag, but didn't do it as good 10 years later. Actually insane.
Yeah.
And it is crazy because everyone who's played Black Flag and loves all those pirate ship combat mechanics, the majority of the people who have done that and then moved to Skull and Bones, they say that it was better in Black Flag.
Yeah, Black Flag was amazing. I haven't played it in quite a while, and I haven't played Skull and Bones, so I can't speak to that. But that's insane to me that they can spend 10 years.
11 years, actually.
11 years working on a game based off a mechanic from a game that, again, is 11 years old, and it be worse. That's crazy. And it doesn't even have everything Black Flag had. It's just one part of it. It's a ship driver.
Yeah, and what's weird is that it has all these like survival mechanics, and it's like, I don't know. Obviously, the Skull and Bones, I think there will be documentaries made about Skull and Bones, because what has happened is that it had one of the roughest, longest developments where it was restarted and rebooted and tossed around, and then it came to the point where Skull and Bones probably never should have come out, or if it should have come out, it should have come out like very close to Black Flag. I think maybe if that had happened, it would have been much more well received.
Definitely.
Because it didn't take 11 years to build hype and then total disappointment. But it got to the point where I don't remember which Ubisoft development studio was heading it, but it was, I want to say Malaysia for some reason, but I may not be right about that. But when they opened that studio there, say it was Malaysia or wherever it was.
Let's say it was Malaysia.
The government required that they produce Skull and Bones as like part of the contract.
Yeah.
It was like, you have to create this game. So it was not a question of will Skull and Bones comes out. It had to come out.
It's a matter of when.
Yeah.
And the when was a long time.
Which sucks because everyone knows when something's not working, you shouldn't force it. And I think that Skull and Bones has suffered from this. Now, you and I have not played Skull and Bones. We have not played Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League because neither game interested us.
I have no intention of ever playing either.
Right.
And I'm not trying to be like ugly about it. Like,
no.
I just don't want to play them. At first I was a little interested in Skull and Bones because when I first heard about it, I was deep into Sea of Thieves.
Right.
It became apparent to me pretty soon that was not the same kind of game or even a fair comparison.
Right.
They were just pirates. That was it. Same premise, I guess. And after that, I lost interest and I didn't care. And then everything I heard made me care less and less. Suicide Squad, I never even had an initial interest.
Right. Yep. That's like our comment from Larry. You should read that one. It's exactly that.
Suicide Squad was dead from the moment it was announced, said Larry House. Can't believe anyone even bothered to give a green light to be made. Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the thing, guys. Gamers have gotten real used to the stench of when something is made because they think it's going to make money. Like if it's not made because they actually want to do something creative. We've gotten very used to it. And Suicide Squad has smelled of just a cash grab from the very beginning.
Yeah. And I think I can speak for both of us. We don't get excited about that. We get excited about a game that's going to come out that clearly they wanted to make. Like, if you haven't seen last week's podcast, we did an interview with Steve, the head designer of Brave Cave, which is a co-op platformer that's going to be coming out. He clearly loves that game. Those devs clearly put some love into that.
Right.
that's not a cash grab, and it's going to be lit.
Right. And it's a completely different thing.
Yes.
Whereas Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League feels like it was test tubed. It was like, this like game. Oh, we got the Suicide Squad. It's a well-known Marvel IP. We're going to put it out. We're going to have this game. It's going to have live service elements. It's going to be multiplayer, squad based. You're going to be able to infinitely monetize it. We're going to have seasons like that. Gamers in general are so over that. Like a game can have those things in them, but it has to earn it. And just slapping Suicide Squad on the front is not going to do it anymore.
I don't even know why they thought slapping Suicide Squad on it would do it to begin with. Now, Suicide Squad in pop culture has had a little bit of an up and down. They've made, 3 movies now?
I think they've made
is it just,
like 2 and then a little spinoff or something.
It's either 2 or 3, and then they do have the Birds of Prey. But one of those Suicide Squad movies just flopped and was awful. And then they made another one where they took out I think, and made just Suicide Squad, and it was actually quite good. But Suicide Squad is not going to just sell your game. We're not talking about Spider-Man.
Well, I mean, even then, I don't think any IP is going to be the only way.
No.
I don't think it's going to be a selling point. I think you could even take Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Okay, who has had some very successful games recently. I think you take Spider-Man and you say, okay, we've got a new Spider-Man game, but then you find out that it's got always online, it's got live service, it's got microtransactions, and it's going to have season pass. I think that is instantly going to be like, you know what, guys? They're going to write it off and they're going to be done with it.
And it's also called Spider-Man Kills the Avengers, and you have to kill Steve Rogers.
Right.
I'm not into that.
I said Suicide Squad was Marvel earlier, didn't I? I was being dumb.
Yeah, Suicide. Yeah, that's true. I didn't even catch that, but yeah, it's DC.
It's DC.
Yeah,
my bad. I realized you said Kills the Avengers, and I was like, yeah, because that'd be Marvel. And I was like, wait, I said Marvel earlier. That was wrong.
Somebody's probably already wrote some comments about that.
Randy's so dumb. He doesn't even know the difference between DC and Marvel. I am dumb. I am that dumb. I'll admit it.
Oh, I hate it when you self-defecate.
Yeah, it's always a mess, isn't it? All right.
All right, where are we at here?
All right, so
okay,
you brought this up earlier, where the idea that when all these companies are being bought by one larger company, that there's going to be a lot of overlap, and then those positions are going to be eliminated. That's another big reason that we've seen from people like Activision, Blizzard, Microsoft, like all that stuff. And for sure, that's definitely going to be at least halfway true.
As a guy who's never run a multi-billion-dollar company,
right,
I can understand that having some credence. But as a guy who's never run a multi-billion-dollar company, I also don't understand why you can't take some of your billions of dollars and pay these damn people to do what they are good at. Clearly, they're good at it, and put them to work for an IP that you haven't revived in a few years. Or a brand new thing. Just give them a chance. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not an economist and I don't run multi-billion-dollar companies, but there's a lot of money flowing through Bill Gates' office. And I just don't quite understand. And I'm just saying, you haven't put out any games. So maybe these people that clearly know how to make games, let them try. Rant may be over? Am I crazy?
Yeah. No, I mean,
don't answer that.
Everyone at Bethesda is just crying right now.
Why?
Listening to your rant.
Oh, I don't care. Bethesda, you've been a big part of my life, and I still love you. There's still love for you inside me, but it is continuing to be buried deeper and deeper with every release. And I swear to God, if you burn me with the new Elder Scrolls, I'll never forgive you, Tim Howard.
Oh, geez.
I hope everybody knows it's a joke when I call him Tim Howard.
I hope. It's one of those things you're like, do I need to bring it up, the fact that it's now an inside joke that we don't call him Todd anymore?
Yeah.
By the way, that's an inside joke here on the podcast.
Yeah. And if I can't go to that mountain, sorry. I'm sorry. Let's cut the podcast.
All right, yeah. No, but so another reason that I think that maybe people are getting laid off, and this is something that I have not heard any company openly admit, and I don't think they would, but AI is coming around, and let's be honest, we know that AI will be able to probably eliminate some people's jobs.
Yeah.
And gaming and art in general is definitely one of the more susceptible things to be eliminated by AI.
Yeah, and that's a hell of a teaser, and we're going to talk about that in a second, but not before we plug the Twitch.
Okay.
So, guys, we stream on Twitch quite a bit these days, but we at least stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 8 p.m. Honestly, we stream almost every day now.
Yeah, almost every day.
So jump over there, throw us a follow. If you can find it in your hearts and wallets to throw us a sub, I won't fight you on it, but come hang out with us. It's a good time.
Fridays and Saturdays are usually the days where we are likely to not be streaming, but otherwise, Sunday through Friday. Sunday through Thursday, sorry. Yep. Sunday through Thursday.
That's right.
All right. We got a comment here from You Are What You Eat, Sonic, who said...
You are what you eat at Sonic.
Oh, at Sonic. You are what you eat at Sonic. Who said, I think it's extremely ironic that you used AI images for this post. Now, I haven't shown the post yet because we'll talk about that in a minute. But I did use AI images in there. And I love how ironic it was because I wasn't even thinking about it.
Yeah.
But yes, that is what makes irony.
Also, I'm a cherry limeade.
Oh, you are? Oh, see, cherry limeade is good.
I know it's good.
I like the strawberry limeade a little better personally, but cherry limeade's good.
I won't kick one of those out. No problems.
Strawberry limeade at Sonic is my favorite drink there.
Really?
But cherry's almost as good.
Cherry limeade is the classic. I don't know that I've ever had a strawberry. I bet it's delicious.
You got to try it.
I don't even know where the closest Sonic is, but
yeah.
That is ironic, and I love that you didn't do it on purpose.
Me too. That's what made it even better. Is I was like, you know what? That's exactly right. Now, I will say that like AI image generation is pretty cool. I don't know that it really saves a whole lot of time all the time, but if you're like going in and making images, it's certainly going to save you time. If you're like actually wanting to handcraft them.
Right. The other day, I was asked to join a group chat with some people at work.
Okay.
And we had a name for it. And I said, oh, I'm going to make us a picture. And they were all like, how did you just make that? I made a picture of a squirrel in a detective outfit sitting on a toilet. I'm just telling you what it is. Not going to tell you the name of the group. I'm just saying. And they were floored. Like they could not believe it. And I was like, it's called ChatGPT.
Yeah, it's AI, guys.
Yeah.
AI can do it. Yeah, wild. But yeah, AI is, I think, definitely going to eliminate jobs, and especially in gaming. I think it's just inevitable.
Yeah.
And I don't hear many people talking about it in terms of companies, but why would they?
And I don't think it's going to stop at gaming either.
No.
I mean,
we're going to have AI podcasts. Our podcast is going to be gone.
I mean, but we're going to be writing the prompts.
I've already seen AI podcasts.
We're going to be behind the ChatGPT curtain saying, make a podcast of us saying these things. Make sure it's slightly inflammatory at times, but generally lighthearted. There you go. You got our podcast. But no, I think you're right. I think these companies are going to lose positions to AI. We're already seeing that AI can basically code for you now. And a few years back, people were saying going into computer science, learning how to code, that's like the safest job you could get right now.
Not
and
anymore.
here we go. We have this technology that's going to, that's insane to me. That particular niche of AI that it's going to be able to take the coding jobs is crazy to me because that was such a hot, field to go into. And I guess it still is, but it's different.
The people who have coded have created the machines that will replace them, which is just wild.
That's some Hollywood crap, dude.
It is. It's wild.
But this is the part where we get a little vague and do a little fear mongering.
Okay.
Because
not that we haven't already, right?
Because I'm going to throw some buzzwords. Inflation.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody's scared of it. Nobody knows what it is. Okay. But I'm just kidding. There is this constant fear and constant noticing of inflation that is going on a global level, and everybody's worried about their money.
Yeah.
Because I don't seem to be making any more, but I'm being asked to spend more.
Right. It definitely feels that way. So there's a lot of financial uncertainty. And this is kind of what we were talking about earlier, where that $70 price model thing seems a little weird. It's not even that we can't afford $70 games, but we're kind of scared to spend $70 on a video game.
Yeah. And where does it stop? They want me to spend $70 on the new Final Fantasy. What do I have to spend next time on the next Final Fantasy?
There you go. Stuck the landing. I love it. Yeah.
It's a slippery slope. That's all I'm saying.
Daniel, do you want to read this comment from Young Ruckus? This one feels like a Daniel comment right here.
Dude, nothing. I'd love nothing more. Young Ruckus said, that's a great name, by the way. That's like a rapper name. I hope you're dropping a mixtape. I bet that crap would be lit. Because the world is ending and nobody realizes it. The stock market and economy is going to trash. You are all oblivious to what's actually going on, and Sweden doesn't exist. Or is it Finland?
Daniel added that last part. Okay.
Yeah, no, that is a Daniel comment, and I dig this guy's style.
Oh, Young Ruckus.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. We've said multiple times, we don't know anything about the economy.
Not a thing in
We
the
just
world.
like video games, and I especially don't know about the world economy.
No.
I sure as heck don't know anything about that.
Lord, I feel like Frodo Baggins at the beginning of Lord of the Rings, having never left the Shire. What do I know of Mordor and Rohan?
You know
Nothing.
You know nothing.
Yeah, I know nothing, Jon Snow.
You know nothing. So, I don't know. I mean, heck, I don't know, but definitely it feels like financial uncertainty amongst the world probably is making some companies want to say, hey, maybe we should just be a little more careful. Maybe we should make some moves that are a little more cautious, make some safer bets. And that probably is happening in the gaming industry, and that might lead to people being laid off.
So you're saying that we've been speaking through our ignorance and we really just don't understand where these companies are coming from? Is that what you're saying? Because maybe they know some things we don't know about the trend of the world's financial situation?
They probably have at least somewhat better idea. But I don't know. I don't think we can trust big companies to always know what's correct when it comes to games.
No.
Now, they may have a better idea about
Money.
the state of money,
Yeah.
because they probably do. But in terms of what games we want to play, it's not always, they don't always know.
No, they don't. Or they don't care. I don't know. Sometimes it feels like a little combination of both. But I like your style, Young Ruckus. Let me know when that mixtape drops.
So, yeah. I was wanting to know if gamers were like legit concerned about all these layoffs that are happening in the gaming industry. Because to me, I don't know how concerned I am, but it definitely comes across as being like a bit odd and off, and like something's happening that I don't understand. So
Agreed. It's like, it makes me like slightly uncomfortable, and it's like something I just don't quite understand. But yeah, I don't necessarily get scared because I know how much money is in gaming. So it's not like I think they're going to stop making them. But it does irritate me for the people being laid off. That's kind of where I land on it.
absolutely. So we put out a poll asking, are you concerned about the mass layoffs in the gaming industry? And 51% of people said, yes, I'm concerned. 24% said, no, not really. And then 25% said, I didn't even know about the layoffs. By the way, these are the AI images that I used that were ironic because AI might be taking away some of these jobs.
I love this little dude that's oblivious and says, no, he's not worried. He's got his headset on. He's playing his game.
He's just loving games.
I love that little dude.
I told the AI prompt was create an emoji playing video games who is just happy-go-lucky and enjoying life.
I'm going to turn that into a sticker for our group chat.
There you go. He just looks so happy.
He does.
He's not worried about the collapse of the gaming economy.
And this guy that's concerned, he's like the only one in the crowd that knows what's going on, and he's scared. You know, he feels isolated even though he's not alone.
No, I think that those people are supposed to be all the people who are getting laid off. I think that is what AI was going for.
I thought he was like in a crowd of people, but it was like, you know, kind of projecting his expression to us.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a thing too.
And he's like, all these people don't know. I'm the only one who knows. How are they not scared, you know? The whole like, isolation together kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Anyway, you want to read a comment here?
Yeah. Normalish guy says, games have been shite, I'm going to say, lately, so it's whatever. Maybe it's a good thing to happen. We'll wake people up and teach them how to care about games instead of cash grabs.
I don't know that I necessarily agree that games have been shite lately. I think there's always some shite games, but I think I'm still kind of coming off of a high of a lot of really, really good games. So I don't know that I agree with you there.
Yeah, I definitely disagree with the fact that games in general have been going bad, have been bad for a while. There's a lot of people who say we need to go back to the way it was in the early 2010s. And sure, there were some good games back then, but I think in general, like we're getting last year we got banger after banger after banger. And there was some crappy stuff too. But when you look at it like big picture, like gosh. And we just did a podcast not that long ago saying, is 2024 going to be just as good as 2023?
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting us to be a couple months into it saying, gosh, is the gaming industry collapsing?
Yeah.
I think, I don't know.
Yeah, we might be jumping from one extreme to the other.
Well, one, it's just, it does seem a little weird, but I don't, like, personally, I'm not that concerned. It just feels weird to me. Like, I don't know what's going on, but I don't think that we're, like, the games, we're not going to have a video game crash like we did in the 80s. I don't think.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
All right, we got a comment from Luke Mayhew, who said, I am not worried. There will always be a market for quality video games, and as long as there is a market, someone will fulfill that demand. Obviously, not every studio is successful, but some are, and that's how it works in every industry. You have winners and losers. That's okay.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's going to be winners, going to be losers. The thing that feels weird and off to me is when you have like Insomniac and Naughty Dog and like studios that are doing well. Like Naughty Dog, okay, they may have had to have some people cut because they had that live service game that got canceled. So maybe that like division lost some people. So, okay, maybe there. But Insomniac is what really throws me.
Right.
Coming off of an uber successful game and they're losing people.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of that, we haven't even talked about this, but how has Nintendo avoided this?
That's really good. See, I'm not sure, but my guess is that Nintendo has so much money stockpiled that I think that they could weather a storm of feeling like they needed to like fire people and not have to do mass layoffs. You know what I mean? I think that they could avoid it just because they have so much money that they don't have to mass lay off people to make a huge change in one move. If they needed to reduce headcount, they could do it slowly over time in a way that wasn't going to be like, oh yeah, we're cutting 8% of all our people,
So you're kind of alluding to the fact that maybe Nintendo is just like trickle laying off instead of mass laying off?
No, I don't think that's what they're doing.
Because that kind of sounds like you're...
that's not what I'm saying.
You're going into conspiracy theory
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying like if Nintendo were to need to do that, I think they have enough money to either keep them on board or if they really needed to do it, they could keep people on board and then slowly lay off in a way that wasn't going to be like, we're cutting like, yes, exactly.
Okay.
That being said, I think Nintendo has somehow avoided this.
How does Sony and Microsoft not have that much money too?
Yeah, it seems weird. Microsoft especially, I mean, heck, I know why Microsoft has any money. They just spent like billions of dollars acquiring Activision. They don't got any money left.
But they were also... If not, I don't think they are anymore, but I think there was a short window of time where they overtook Apple for the most profitable or most valuable company in the world.
I think that Microsoft may be right now.
They might still be.
They might still be the number one most profitable company in the entire world.
Yeah, so they got enough money.
There's probably some like Saudi oil baron who like has a more profitable company that the numbers aren't reported or something like that.
Well, maybe. But I know for a long time that number one spot's been Apple.
Right.
So, I don't know. I thought it was like a short window where Microsoft took the number one spot, but maybe they still are.
Maybe they weren't not anymore. But I remember hearing about Microsoft being the most financially successful company in the entire world. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's how they were able to pump all that money into buying like Activision Blizzard.
Right.
I don't know, but overall, I'm not worried. I don't think we're going to have a video game crash. I do think that it's a little weird. And I still don't know the exact reasons. If there is a single reason, or maybe it's just all come together and it's a perfect storm, and we're getting all these layoffs for a bunch of reasons. I don't know.
So what Randy's saying is keep calm, play your games, stay cool, keep your head on a swivel, and 3 for dough.
Yeah. There was almost a comment that I didn't feature that was like, look, video games aren't going anywhere. As long as there's a want for video games, people will make video games.
That was basically what Luke said.
Yeah.
As long as there's a market, people will make them.
Oh, yeah.
If you build it, they will come.
Right. That was the comment I was thinking of. We read it just a second ago.
We did.
I was thinking more about the bottom half of this comment where he's talking about winners and losers, right? Mm-hmm. That was the part I clung to, not the first part, even though I brought up the first part later on.
Clearly some part of you clung to both parts.
You know what? Luke just does that to me. Luke's got a way.
He's a clinger.
He's not a clinger. He has a way of making me cling.
You're a Klingon.
I'm a Klingon, right? Ooh. All right, guys. The last segment of our podcast is the 3 for Dale Club. Now, if you hung in with the doom and the gloom for however long we've been talking about the doom and the gloom.
I've barely done it.
We want to thank you. We want to thank you for supporting our podcast. We want to shout you out at the end of the next one. And the way we do that is through our 3 for Dale Club.
That's right. 3 for Dale Club. All you got to do to join it is leave us a comment and say whatever you want to say. You want to tell Randy his hat's stupid? Say it. If you want to tell me,
that he's stupid,
just leave that out.
Yeah.
But just make sure you include the phrase 3 for Dale in your comment. We're going to find it. We're going to react to it. We're going to shout you out.
Yeah, it's our secret
for
code.
being a freaking G.
Yeah, it's our secret code phrase. Lets us know you made it to the end. Shout you out. Today we're starting things off with Hit Start Studios, who left their 3 for Dale. Now, last week we talked about Brave Cave. We had an interview with Steve, who is the game designer at Hit Start Studios. So he said, thanks again for having me on, guys. Can't wait to see you guys play the full game, which I am very much looking forward to playing Brave Cave when it comes out later this year.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Thanks for coming on, Steve. Next up, we got Landon Stallingsdale himself, who said this was an interesting peek into what goes on behind the scenes to make some of our favorite games. Thank you for sharing with us, Steve. And I would like to read another message from Landon.
Okay.
So he left us a very kind message on a stream recently, and I haven't had a chance to read it to Randy, and I don't know if he's seen it, but
I missed this. I was not on the stream when I did this.
So Landon said, I love the podcast. I really wish the subscribers on your main channel would migrate to the podcast channel. It's my favorite content on YouTube, and you guys always make my Mondays a little better. Thank Randy for me too.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that just heartwarming?
That is amazing. Landon, thank you so much. Oh my gosh. That is awesome. You know what? Thank you. I'm sure it makes you feel the same way it does me, which we put so much time into doing the podcast, and it feels good to know that some people enjoy it. Obviously we enjoy it, which is the reason we do it. But at the end of the day, we also do it for you guys. So
that's right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, next we got D18, who said, if I can get my wife to play anything other than 3D World, we could play this, talking about Brave Cave.
Good luck, because 3D World's pretty solid, especially if you're playing that Bowser's Fury.
Bowser's Fury.
Okay. Yeah, Omaha.
Oh my gosh.
Next up.
My wife also loves 3D World, by the way.
Yeah, y'all played it like twice, haven't you?
We played it once together, but she played it again after as soon as we finished playing 3D World in co-op, she immediately started a second playthrough where she played it single player.
Did she even get up to use the bathroom before she started, or she just go straight into
it?
What a maniac.
Yep, straight into it.
All right, next up we got a 3 for Dale from Bobbity, who said, this game sounds super cool. Interested in the full release for sure. Again, talking about Brave Cave.
That's right. And then finally, we have Tom Derry, who said, funny enough, I think the game Randy is talking about playing with his wife is the game Catherine. So on the podcast with Brave Cave, we talked about a platformer. I said, there's a game where you work against each other, not together. And he's saying it maybe it's Catherine. I don't think it's Catherine. I actually remembered what game it was. It was Ultimate Chicken Horse.
Those are 3 words that just...
Ultimate Chicken Horse.
Ultimate Chicken Horse. Is it Ultimate Chicken Horse? Is it like you're playing as an ultimate chicken, you're playing horse? With the basketball?
Nope.
Or is it like Ultimate Chicken Horse?
Yeah.
Ultimate Chicken Horse.
No, it's just Ultimate Chicken Horse.
Was there an Ultimate Chicken before, and this is the sequel called Ultimate Chicken Horse?
I don't think there was.
Okay, well, I tried.
Maybe there was Chicken Horse, and now there's Ultimate Chicken Horse.
That is an angle I had not yet considered. I would have got to it.
No. So in Ultimate Chicken Horse is a game where it's a co-op, but it's a competitive co-op where you are trying to get to the end, but you add elements to the map, or whatever it'd be called, to the plane that you have to go across, and you want to make it so that you can get to the end, but your opponent cannot.
Yeah.
And it's a competitive co-op game, and yeah, we played it, and it was not me and Catherine's cup of tea, but I think me and you would enjoy it a lot.
That's what I said on the podcast. I want to play that with you.
Let's do it.
I would love to try my hardest to make it so that you can't beat a level. That would bring me... That's right up my alley.
I know. But me and Catherine, we didn't enjoy it. We'd rather work together. A true cooperative experience.
Can we play that one co-op online?
I'm not sure.
We'll look into it.
Yeah. I feel like you can. I feel like you can play it online together. Ultimate Chicken Horse.
That'd be a fun stream.
Yeah, we'll have to try that sometime. All right, guys. Well, that reaches the end. Again, sorry for the bummer of an episode of us talking about everyone getting laid off.
And sorry we had to use the buzzword nobody understands, inflation.
Everyone's talking about it. No one knows what it means.
You can quote me on that.
All right, guys. Until next time, I'm Randy.
Which makes me Daniel.
This has been Gaming Gig.
3 for Dale.